Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Thanks for joining me tonight, and thank you for letting me take last week off to work on some things with the new realm of Spindle TV and stuff. Had a great marketing meeting with Jake, my marketing guy, and coming up with a lot of great ideas. We're working on a new brand and everything for my other channel, and getting ready to incorporate it in with Spindle TV for those full build projects. Working on getting a metal building on site and all kinds of things. So I apologize for having to push off last week's class to this week, but I appreciate you jumping in and joining me tonight. And I hope you're all having a great evening. You know, your support's greatly appreciated and stuff. With you know, there's quite a few holidays coming up. You know, in June, we have Memorial Day weekend coming up. We've got Father's Day coming up, and let's see here. Hold on a second. June holidays. What do we have? Got Flag Day coming up, Father's Day, Independence Day, Parents' Day. So all kinds of different holidays and all, but we're going to focus on or talk tonight about Father's Day projects and ideas and stuff. And I've got a bit of a promotion that I'm going to put out to you guys and ask, you know, your thoughts, get your thoughts and everything on it here in a little bit as we get into everything. But I jumped in a little early. We don't start till 7:15, but I wanted to say hello to everyone. And Harvey, that's dedication, bud, having to go all the way back to the June 11th video to find that WDS. That's funny, but I appreciate it. I appreciate you paying that close of attention to things and all that stuff. You know, Father's Day for me, it's a bit of a tough one. My father passed away a few years back and everything, but even before that, we didn't have that great of a relationship. And so I never really, you know, made Father's Day gifts. So when I was trying to think of things and, you know, ideas and stuff and all, it was a little bit, it was actually a little tough for me. You know, Mother's Day, I was raised by a single mother, so man, I can blow out some Mother's Day projects and things like that. But Father's Day was a bit tough, but I think I came up with a few good ideas and all, and we'll talk about them and stuff tonight. But let's go ahead and with that pitiful introduction or segue, let's go ahead and jump over to the software. Let me see, what channel am I on? Channel 3, I believe. Am I on camera 3? Bear with me a second, ladies and gentlemen. What, there we go. I knew it was one of those channels. And let's get me down here in the bottom corner. Cool. Now, tonight I am working in Aspire, but you know, the things that we kind of talk about and stuff can be done in all three software, Vectric VCarve Desktop Pro or Aspire. And when it comes to, you know, gifts, fathers kind of get short shafted and stuff on gifts and all. I was looking up online for Father's Day gift ideas, and you know, and they had ties and clothes and all kinds of things. Saw some really neat ideas for some clocks and things, but when I was trying boxes and stuff, and when I was trying to nail things down, I was like, man, it's tough to choose what would be kind of an interesting topic, because it's really not going to be so much about the topic, but about the way we make our project for this evening and stuff like that. I do have a couple of Father's Day projects for both the men and the women that are going to be available, and again, I'll talk to you about that here in a little bit. But welcome all the way from Australia. Thanks, Stephen Rice, for joining us. I'm sure it is, I don't know what time zone you're in, but it's probably either very early or very late for you, Stephen. So thanks for popping in all the way from down under. The things that, would be pretty basic would be, what do we call them? Dresser type caddies. Pretty cool little caddies where dads after a hard day of work can come in, offload their change and empty their pockets and things like that, and have a nice little organized place to keep those things and stuff. There are different types of signs and plaques that could be made. What I want to do is I'd like to focus on making a box, kind of a keepsake box, if you will, or it could be just a kind of a dad's memory box or something like that, that might have some things, some elements on it that might be, we'll be able to design it with designs that you might that might really kind of register with your dad, if you will, if that's the proper term to use. Register, if it might click, it might be fitting and all. He could be a military guy, he could be a veteran, he could be a peace officer or a firefighter, or he could be just a carpenter or a handyman. So we're gonna be able to kind of design this box in ways that might customize it to dad and all. So in the software, we're going to be doing a double-sided job for this, a two-sided job. And for the length of the box, I think I settled on a 14-inch wide box and 6 inches tall. And it's going to be made out of 3/4-inch material. Now, I'm going to be referencing off the material surface for both sides. There's no need to reference off the same face or anything like that. So for the Z0 position, we're just going to touch off on the material surface for side 1 and side 2. And I'm going to start down in the bottom left corner, but you can start from different areas. Now, when I flip these parts and everything, and all, and by the way, I need to make that. I want it to be 6 1/4. 6 1/4. I believe 6 1/4 is the actual dimension of a 7 1/4. Hold on. 1/8. A typical 1/8 is 7 1/4. I'll get my thoughts straight here in a minute. But I prefer to flip along my y-axis when I'm flipping. And again, this will be a project. I'm going to provide this project file to you guys and girls, whatever we come up with, a completed project file. But I prefer to flip along the Y, but be sure to change that to whatever may fit you. I believe 14 by 7 1/4 that most people's CNCs, unless they're working on a small Piranha or something, most people's CNCs will be able to carve that project. So it should be fitting for everyone. And again, I am in Aspire, but the things that we're doing can be done in any of the softwares. Okay, so don't let my working in Aspire this evening kind of like, oh, I don't have Aspire, I can't do this. Yes, you can. You very much can. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out my box. My box is going to be 14 inches overall length, and it is going to be 6 inches, not 60, 6 inches tall. And it's going to have square corners. And let's go ahead and get that on the board. For right now, I'm going to center it on the board there. That way I have this upper area for clamping, this lower area for clamping, as well as being able to do alignment pins. And that's where I'm actually going to start tonight. I usually do the alignment pins last and everything, but I'm going to go ahead and draw them in. Somewhere right over here, I'm going to throw in a 1/4-inch diameter hole. Right about there, and also down here. Now, because of the method that I'm going to be using for the alignment pin holes and everything, they don't need to be perfectly aligned or in the same place in the same corners and everything. I just need 2 holes. They could pretty much be in anywhere, and I am going to go diagonal with them, but they don't have to be exactly in the same spot, and everything. So that's going to be my alignment pinholes in the waist areas here. Now on the box, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drag out a guideline. I love using guidelines to help me lay out, and you can pull guidelines from your rulers at the top or off the side, and you can pull out as many as you need. And I'm going to pull out 2 of them, one for each side of the board here, and I did pull one down and I aligned it with the bottom of my rectangle there. Now the guideline on the left, when you right click on a guideline, you get the properties of that particular guideline. You can rotate that guideline, you can create relative guidelines, parallel guidelines to it, and that's what I want to do. I want to create a relative guideline 1 inch away, and 1 being a positive number because I want to go to the right, and I want to create that guide. Now when I go to the guide on the right hand side here and right click on it, I want to do another relative guide, but this one's going to be a negative 1 inch because I need the guideline to go to the left. So we're going to create that guide. And in here, now I can take my rectangle and I can go into node editing mode, and I'm going to zoom in really tight on the guideline and put my mouse right over there and insert a point on that 1 inch guideline that's on the right, and zoom into this and insert a point on the left side. Now if I zoom in more, you can see I missed my mark on there. No problem, I can just drag that over and snap it right to that guideline. That's why I want to zoom in really tight to make sure I'm on the guide. And even if I zoom in here, you can see I missed that one as well. So I'm going to snap it right to that guide so that I have it. Now right in the middle, there's always a little invisible looking little box, a little clear box, and that's the center line, the center point between 2 nodes. On a line, arc, or curve, you usually have a center point that's identified, and I'm going to put my mouse right on that center point and insert a point there as well. So now what I've basically done is the bottom of this box, this is going to be one side. The bottom of this box, I've basically divided it in half, and I've got kind of a 1 inch, I guess, foot it's going to be over on this side as well as this side. Now the space between the center span and the left span here, I'm going to go ahead and turn that into an arc, and I'm going to pull that arc up about 5 inches. Let's come down a little bit more. Let's go right about there. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Right click on the line and change that to an arc. Now I want to pull this one up and align it to here, but I need to wake up this node first to get that dotted line to shoot across. And as long as I have my smart snapping and geometry snapping turned on, when I wake up a vector, I'll get that reference line, and then I can snap right to it. So that way they're both the same height. And that's going to be important for me. And so now in the center, let's get out of node editing mode. I don't want this sharp center here. I'd like a nice little curve, and that's going to be a fillet. And so with the fillet tool, I'm going to go with about a... I think 1.5 is going to be too much. No, actually 1.5 is going to be good. I'm going to go with a 1.5 inch radius fillet, normal fillet there. And when I click on, let me undo that. When I click on that center point there, it'll create that fillet. And so this is going to be the side profile of this box here. And now that I have that, I can go ahead and get rid of my layout lines. So I'm on the top corner of my rulers. I can click on that button to hide them, so turn them on and off. So that's cool. All right, so now I'm going to take the profile that I've just created here of this box side, and I want to offset it inward. I'd like to have an offset inward probably about 3/8 of an inch. I think that would look pretty good. So I want 3/8 of an inch. I do want to keep sharp corners because I do want these corners in the top to be sharp and everything when I create that offset. So we'll create that offset, and that's going to create kind of like this little window in here. and everything. Now, within that window, I'm going to go ahead and draw a rectangle somewhere in here. And let's go with a rectangle that is, we're going to go a full 10 inches by 2.5. And I want to make sure that that is centered inside of this window. Now, when I do that, I want to make sure that if I go full center, like straight center, then it's going to bring it down low here, because it's going to basically be centering it off the bottom of the feet and the top of the part. I just want to make sure that it's centered left and right. So I want to select this inner rectangle first and then select this inner vector after that, last, always last. And I want to align left to right. I want to get that centered. Now, if I tried to center completely, like I said, it's going to bring it down too low here, right? I don't want that. I just want a nice, layout. I want to kind of gauge my distance and make sure I'm pretty well even across. And what I'm going to do is I am going to bump it up. I'm going to use the arrow keys on the keyboard and just bump it up right about there. That looks good. Eyeball. That's an actual measurement. And here I can do whatever. I can, put in some text. I can put in a nice design. I could put in, something cool that might relate to, pops, and stuff like that. And now around this outer edge here, let's say that this could, he could be, very patriotic or military or whatever the case may be, we could do some stars, we could do a nice array of stars around this edge and everything, around this plaque. And then when we do kind of our raised effect, when we start creating the tool paths, we could, they would have that nice little raised effect, almost like buttons, if you will. It could be really anything that you want, or it could be nothing, right? This could be as simple as you want it to be, or as, just balled out as much as you want, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to create a star here. And I'm going to size it down a little bit more appropriate. That's a little bit too big. Let's size that down to right about there. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to, if I'm going to have it come around, if I'm going to have them come around 3 sides or all 4 sides or what have you, I want these stars to follow the path. So what I'll do is I'll take this inner rectangle here and offset it outward a certain distance just to use for my path for these stars if I'm going to kind of create them. And so let's offset that rectangle outward. Let's see what it 3/8. Let me gauge this real quick. If I were to center that star in there, oh yeah, plenty of room there. So let's undo that. All right, so 3/8 is good. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the follow tool or copy along vectors tool, where I can take one object and copy it along another. Whatever I select first is the object I want to copy. Whatever I select last is the path I want it to follow. So I want to select that offset last, holding that shift key down when you're selecting more than one item. And I'm going to use that offset tool. It's down here in the offset and layout, copy along vectors. And I'd like either a certain distance between them or a certain number. Now I don't know what the number is going to be, so I'm going to use a distance. So I'd like to, probably have, about at least an inch apart or something. But if they look too cluttered, like if it looks to be too many or something like that, then I'll space it out more. But let's start off with 1.5 inches, and I'm going to force even spacing, and let's see what we end up with. Now, also, you see how the stars started to turn and rotate? I don't want that. I want them staying vertical. So let's undo that, and let's uncheck the box that says Align Object to Curve. We're going to uncheck that, and we're going to pull that in. Okay? And everything landed almost perfect. I'm a little off on my corners and everything, but I'm going to fix that right now. But everything else I like. The corners I want to change. So for this corner, let's start up here, and I'm going to snap the center right to that corner. And now, interesting, let's take our guideline here for a minute. Let's close this tool for a second, and if I take my guideline out of the top ruler here and I bring it down, I should be aligned perfectly, but good. All right, so let's do this one as well. And that one already is centered, so that's good. Down here in this corner, let's go ahead and pull this down and snap it to that corner. And over here, let's take this one, and that one is good as well. And again, I can take my guideline just to make sure I can snap to the bottom of that star and just make sure that they're all nice and aligned. Okay, so I have that alignment. Let's go ahead and turn those guidelines back off, and I can delete my master little star there. When you're creating stars, by the way, guys and girls, a little bit of a pro tip for you. When you create your star, your inner radius should be 38 degrees, or percent, sorry, 38%. 38% gives a nice straight top part of the arch. So if I pull a guideline down on this star here, you can see that top line is nice straight across. If we were in, let me hold my shift key down. If I were to change that to, let's say we were at 43, you see how it's angling up, or let's say that I was at 35. See how it's angling down? 38 is going to be your number. And that, if you're ever doing stars for flags, for the unions or anything like that of the flags, it's 38. 38 is where it is. And that top leg has to be straight across. Okay. So, all right, let's go ahead and turn that off. And so, once we've done that, we don't need this vector anymore, so I can delete it. And we could have something like this, where the stars are kind of coming around. They're going to be raised. They're going to have nice points and everything to them. They're going to be raised up and all. If you're in Aspire, you could just build that model. You could build those stars up as a model and stuff. But Desktop and Pro and what we're going to do here, we're going to use the V-Carve toolpath to kind of pocket out that area to raise up those, give those stars a nice raised look. So we're not doing really any kind of model creation in things on this, but you could, right? So now that we have this, really, I mean, we could, this could be a name. It could be, world's greatest dad. It could be whatever you want it to be. It could be his name. It could be really anything that we want to put in this box, kind of like it could be a message of some sort. And we're going to have two sides of this box, and they're not going to be identical. They're going to be very similar, but try to change it up a bit. Put something different on one side versus the other. We're going to create side 2 here in just a minute. We're going to make a copy and stuff, but try to create something a little bit different, a little bit unique, and things like that. And everything and all. Now, since I said that, let's go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to select this here, and I'm going to hold down my control key, and I'm going to drag a copy right straight down. Hold that control key, and I'm just going to drag a copy down, which is going to basically kind of represent my front and back side, or whatever it could be. Now, the joinery on this box is super simple as far as that goes. The joinery is going to be, it's going to be basically just kind of butt joint. We could, since it is a two-sided job, we could do half lap kind of joint type of thing. But it's going to be just a very simple assembly on this box, just kind of a butt joint, glued together. And we do need to create a groove on the back side for a bottom panel, at least. So we've still got to create the bottom panel, the two sides, and the top. Before we get into the next step here, let me answer a couple of questions. Lainey, do you do classes on the weekends? Chris, are you talking about video classes? Or are you talking about the training classes that I do with customers that subscribe to the training? Because yeah, it's Monday through Saturday, 24 hours a day. You know, up to midnight. You know, is where most people. I haven't really had anyone schedule anything at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning like that, but usually, you know, the last training session usually ends at 10, 11, or 12 o'clock at night and stuff. But Saturday is available too. Sunday is my only day off, and so it's kind of my day of rest because I'm really literally round the clock Monday through Saturday with all of the customers of Digital Woodcarver, plus all of my customers that do subscribing and training with me one-on-one. So Sunday's kind of my day to just crash and let my body catch up to start all over again Monday. So as far as the weekends go, Saturday, yes, absolutely. Sunday, that would have to be handled on a one-by-one basis and everything. But you know, that can be talked on. But yes. All right, so great question. Now on this box, on the box, the overall width of the box from the front to the back, I'd like it to be about 7 inches overall width, and I've got to take into account my 1.5 inch, my 3/4 and 3/4 for my two sides. So let's go ahead and get a rectangle in here, and let's go 6 inches in height. And on my overall 7th, I'm going to subtract that 1.5 inch, which gives me that 5.5 inch side. Now you could have done that math in your head, but I love using the software because any of these little boxes, for those of you that are new to Vectric, any of these boxes throughout the software where you can type in a value, you can use them like little calculators. You can add, subtract, multiply, divide, do fraction to decimal conversions, and all kinds of cool things. So all I did there was I just typed in my 7 minus that 1.5 inch, hit the equal key on the keyboard, not the enter key, but the equal key. So I get that sum and you know, get that size. So let's go ahead and size that. And I'm going to need, on this side, I'm going to need 2 of them. So I'll hold down my control key and drag them down. Now what I'm basically doing here is I'm laying out all the parts in one job, right? One layout. And what I'll end up doing is, depending on the size of my machine, now I have a 40-inch cutting area. And for the most part, I should be able, except for the lid, I should be able to, when everything's said and done, I should be able to actually create the design on a long board and cut out all the sides, the front and back, and the 2 sides out of that one board. You know, flip it over and all that stuff, you know, as need. But right now, I've just got it laid out on a single piece here just for, I don't know, just for whatever reason. We'll change that up in just a moment. So we have our 2 sides. Now as far as the lid goes, we're going to do something decorative on the lid as well. But we know that the overall width, like I said, I want it to be 7 inches overall. And our box is going to be 14 inches in length. So 7 by 14 is what I need this lid to be. And so now basically I've got all 3 parts kind of laid out. Now I am going to do something decorative on the sides as well. This is the cool place to do some type of medallion. It could be, you know, it could be a military insignia. It could be a fisherman if they're into fishing. It could be a bow hunter. It could be, you know, a deer, whatever, you know, whatever they're into. Make it kind of, you know, pretty cool for them. And it could be a hodgepodge of different things too. Just something that kind of, all these cool things, you know, fishing, you know, when you know, Dad taking you fishing on, you know, or camping, you know, we could have fishing on one side, a you know, a little campfire or something on the other. All these little things that kind of just, you know, reminisce, you know, or make you think of pop, right? So make it unique to yourself. But I'm laying out everything here, and then we'll start to get the projects actually get ready to lay out so we can create our toolpaths. Now, like I said, on the other side of the box, I don't want to have the same kind of layout. I do want to do something different over here. So I'm actually going to remove the stars in that middle box from that side so I can do something different over here. Now, if I was going to, let's say I was going to put my dad's name or something on one side, I might write a nice little message, you know, to him on the other, right? Or I might create a nice cool scenery of, you know, using some of the clip art that's in the Vectric software. I could create a nice little fishing scene or a little outdoor scene or something using those models and stuff. Whatever it may be, this is where, you know, it starts kind of, you can really start to kind of customize. And if you're new to the Vectric software and you haven't done modeling, it's not as complex or difficult as one would think. There's a lot of videos on Spindle TV that you could watch. They are longer videos, but the shorter videos in the help section of Vectric talking about model assembly is straight to the point information. And when you're bringing models in and stuff and laying them out, those quick little tutorials in the help section of Vectric will guide you very well. Some of my videos may help you and all as well, but they're a little bit longer, longer to absorb and all. And we're going to be changing that format later in the upcoming months and stuff, and making some really poignant, to the point videos and stuff that aren't so drawn out and stuff. So that's going to be great. But you know, if you've never experimented with 3D model, now might be the time, right? You got till June 20th to practice and stuff before Father's Day, and come up with some real cool stuff. But never fear, if you can't do something like this, I do have something that I'm going to be sharing with you guys later in class, and that might be pretty cool for you for your Father's Day gift and stuff. Yeah, there you go. And Roger Brown, wavy flag for the top. Don't get ahead of me, Roger. But yes, that'd be very cool. Now, we're going to get into that in a minute. Oh, hell, let me get into it now. I have a wavy flag model that I provide a copy to all of our customers. And everybody that watches this class, you all are welcome to that file as well. So all you have to do, I'll put my email address in the chat here in just a second. And if you email me, I can send you the copy of that wavy flag that you can size to any size, and it's a pretty cool wavy flag. It might be a little bit too dramatic of a wave for the top, but we're going to see if we can reduce it down a little bit. If not, we could always make another one. But I'm going to throw in my email address, laney.shaughnessy@spindletv.com. spindletv.com. There's my email address. If you guys and girls want to email me and request that 3D wavy flag, absolutely, I'd have no problem sharing it with you. But yeah, that's a great idea, you know, especially if this is going to be a kind of a patriotic type theme. You know, if my dad, you know, when he was alive, I mean, he was a country boy, all American and everything, and it might be fitting for him. I actually don't know if he had any military service or not. Like I said, though, I was kind of estranged from my father, so I don't know really what his history was before he passed. But it could be, you know, again, think of something that would be pretty fitting and stuff for you guys. All right, so just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to go ahead and put in a name here, and let's go. I don't know what I'm thinking here. Cook. And I'm gonna throw in for my grandfather. He helped raise me. So let's size this up. And I want to hold down the shift key and select that rectangle, and I want to use my alignment tool to align to the center of that last selection. Make sure it's centered in there. Okay, so that takes care of one side kind of laid out. Now that I have that side laid out and everything, I'm going to go ahead and grab it, and oops, let's try that again. I'm going to go ahead and grab it, and I'm going to drag it off to the side. I'll be able to put it back when I'm creating toolpaths and everything. And I'm going to use layers in just a moment, and we're going to separate things, our top, bottom, left, right. We're going to separate these vectors into layers and stuff to really organize. But now I'm going to take this vector down here, this other side, and center it on my material. Just pop that one in place so I can start working on it. While we're here, let's go ahead and set up our layers. So for layer 1, I'm going to call this, I'm going to rename this to be my left side. Layer 2, I'm going to rename this to be my right side. I'm going to add another layer and call this my front panel. Add another layer, my back panel. And my top. I don't need a layer for the bottom, because the bottom is, I'm just going to use a piece of 1/8 inch birch plywood that's going to go into a groove. Not 1/8, I'm sorry. Is it 1/8? Hold on. Is it 1/8? Quarter inch birch plywood, but the nominal measurement is 7/32. Let me see here. Plywood measurements. I used to know this stuff off the top of my head. Quarter inch is 7/32. Yeah, 7/32. So that's your actual measurement. And also I got it when I make my groove on side 2. I got to remember to do that. All right, so for side 2, I do want to add a little bit of a 3-dimensional element in all to kind of give you guys some ideas about that. Or we could trace an image and create it as a V-carve and still have that kind of raised effect. Either one. If you don't have, well, everybody should have some kind of models in their clip art. Desktop came with models, Pro came with models, and Aspire came with models. We're not creating anything from scratch here. You should have some kind of models, but if not, we can create we can trace some images and create some 3-dimensional designs by kind of doing that raised effect. Let's do that. Let's do that. And we'll do models on the sides, on the 2 sides. But hey, Steve S., how are you doing? I appreciate that, Steve, on the wavy flag comment. Hey, Lainey, I haven't received the training lessons we had in the past. Kool-Aid, okay, I don't know you by Kool-Aid. What? Can you give me your first and last name, and I'll tell you where they're at. And when you say in the past, if it was done this past week, then you should be getting them either this evening or tomorrow. If they were done a couple of weeks ago, when I send those files, it's on the link's only good for 10 days. So if you haven't received anything from MASV, when those videos come in your inbox or your junk mail, check your junk mail too, just in case they land there. But MASV is where they come from. That is the video file. That sender, MASV. Massive is massive.io is what I use to send those files. If you don't have them, I'll look in my history and we'll take care of that. I'll get them over to you and everything and all. But give me your first and last name, Kool-Aid, because I don't know you by Kool-Aid. All right, so on our back side, let's see here. Let's grab a let's do a bit. Old Grandpa now, he was a fisherman from way back. Loved fishing and everything. So let's see if we can get a nice fish on there for him. Let's see here. I need something that will fit in. I gotta be mindful of my space and everything. So I need something that will fit and something that is going to have a pretty decent resolution and something that has a pretty big amount of detail. So do I want a jumping bass or do I want a regular one? I've got different images that I've pulled offline that I can choose from. Let's see here. I tell you, this one, this image will give me, let's pull this image in, it'll give me a lot of options to choose from. And let's go into our downloads. Let's see, there's, oh, that's a little guy. Where's my other one? All right, this one will give me some options. Let me pull it over here. I think I'm going to go with this bottom one down here. So let's go with a trace tool, and let's grab this, turn the fading off. I'm going to pull this up to 75 here, and I'm just going to draw a box around this guy right here and trace him. And we can go ahead and get rid of that piece of trash there. This one here was similar, but it's a really small, low quality, so it wouldn't be a good tracing, so I'll go with this one here. Let's pull this over. And now my grandfather, he loved bass fishing, but he really loved speckled perch and all, but I don't have any picture right away that I can pull up of a speckled perch. But now I want to align this left to right. Whoops, don't do that. I want to group that together first. Let's group this together. I'm going to hit G on the keyboard, G on the keyboard to group that together. And then I'm going to hold down my shift key and grab this here, and I'm going to align left to right to get that centered. And I also I'm going to put a couple of fish hooks here. Now I'm actually going to draw those in. I'm going to draw that in and everything. So let's see how well I can draw.
I'm not sure. Sending to TV.
Alexa, stop. Let's see how well I can draw a fish hook from scratch. Now I always, when I'm drawing shapes, I always start off with a rectangle. And everything, it kind of outlines how big I want the shape to be, and from there I can start to kind of create my shape. So let's go here. We'll have a little narrow leg, and let's create a bit of a circle. Snap that to there. Let's bring that up a bit. I'm going to offset. I'm holding the control and the shift key down right now, and I'm going to offset that inward a bit. Right about there. And let's see here. That's a little bit, that's not a good hook. Let's resize both of these down. Get a little bit more of a bend in there. It's not a perfect circle. All right, let's take this pull that there. I am doing terrible right now at this freehand stuff. Let's size this down. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and go into do some node editing. Let's cut the vector down here and here. Let's cut the vector on this side as well. And here also. Let's get rid of this top half. Oops. What did I miss here? There we go. And get rid of this top half. Perfect. Let's go ahead and move this out now. Node editing is your best friend when working, you know, with things and stuff. So snap that there. Let's pull this one back here. And let's do some trimming. Trim, trim, trim. And don't worry about that jag. We're going to fix that in just a minute. That little jagged thing in the area there, we're going to fix that in a second. In here, I'm going to actually do a three-sided four-sided star. Let's pull this down here for a minute. I want it a little bit narrower, so I am going to reduce that inner radius a bit. 20. Not that narrow. Let's go 25. That'll work. All right, let's size this up. Now, of course, it would have been much easier to find a picture of a hook, right, and trace it, but you guys aren't going to learn anything if we just keep tracing images. We're going to go into node editing mode, and I'm going to select these two nodes right here, and I'm going to use the down arrow key on my keyboard, and I'm going to pull them down to create the point of that hook. And then I'm going to go ahead and lower that. Oops, not that one. I'm going to go ahead and get out of node editing mode. Let's lower this down a bit. Right about here. Node editing. Let's pull this up into this corner there. Let's pull this up into that corner there. And let's do some trimming with our scissors. All right. That hook looks a little worn out. All right, now I can get rid of my rectangle so I can start to shape this. I still got to put the eye of the hook in. Let's get this. I want to move it over here. All right, I want to go into node editing. Well, not node. First of all, I want to join those two vectors. So let's join down here. Join those two as one closed vector to close that up. And then in node editing, I want to kind of fix and smooth out this this point here. It's a little bit too rigid, and so I want to kind of straighten that out a bit. Same thing here. I want to smooth this, kind of pull that down and all. And then over here on these nodes, I want to grab all of these nodes, and I'm going to use my arrow key, my right arrow key, and I'm going to kind of pull that up and around. Don't worry, we'll fix the hook in just a minute. And then my two anchors here, these two anchors here, I want to kind of pull them out. So pull this out a bit. There we go. All right, let's get our eyelid on there. Holding the shift key down, I'm going to draw another circle kind of out here. And let's do some trimming. So I want to trim this away, this, and that. Cool enough. Okay. So I want to mirror this. Let me make sure. Let me go into node editing one more time, and let me take these three nodes, these three nodes here, this one and this one this time, and I'm going to use my what's going to be the best way to do that? Actually, let me do it this way. I'm going to cut the vector here and here, so that way I can rotate this just a bit. Get it back into a decent position here. And extend this line over to here and then trim. So I'll trim it with my scissors there and there. All right, so I just wanted to turn that hook a little bit. All right, so there's going to be my fishing hook, my fish. I do want to put one on the other side, so I'm going to select all this and mirror it to flip it about job center, create a mirror copy, and flip it horizontally. So that'll be my right side. Now let's look at what this would look like as a all right, Bruce and Kool-Aid, you guys have my email address up in the chat up there up above. If not, I'll put it in there again. Email me a reminder and I'll send those off to you. Paste. And guys, look in your inboxes from Massive, and from the time I send it, you only have 10 days to download that link, okay? Otherwise I have to resend it. Let's see here. Okay, so let's take a look at what this would look like if it carved, if we carved it as a kind of a raised effect. Now I want to take on my bass here, I want to ungroup it, ungroup, and I want to select just the outside boundary here and do an offset. And I want to offset outward a small amount. And in this case, I'm going to go about 1/8 of an inch to create like a little island around him. Okay. And now let's go over and let's look at the toolpaths on this. So in our V-carve toolpath, I'm going to select all of my inner vectors. We're going to do a 0 start depth, 1/8 of an inch, flat depth, 60-degree V-bit, and an 1/8 inch end mill here, an 1/8 inch end mill for the flat area to kind of get into these tight little areas. You could use a 1/4 as well, but an 1/8 is going to get us a little bit into some tighter spots. So I will calculate that. And let's preview that visible toolpath. Okay, and so that's what it would look like if I painted it. Let's turn that color off for a minute. So this is what the side would look like. Let's go ahead and do the profile cut to cut out the profile so you can kind of get a general idea what that would look like. We're going to go all the way through our 3/4 inch material. We're going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. And we're going to be cutting on the outside of the line. I'm not going to throw tabs in this because this will not be my final toolpath. My final toolpath is only going to be cutting halfway through, not all the way through. But I want to cut this out just for preview purposes, so you can see what the side of that box would look like with just a simple, V-carve here. If I were to color it in, let's say I were going to kind of stain it or paint it or whatever the case may be, I could really kind of make the details stand out depending on, what it was that I wanted to do with it, or I could just leave it natural, right? But that's going to give me that kind of carved look just from tracing an image and kind of taking and freehand drawing a little hook. It gives me exactly, nice little whatever, right? Okay, so that's going to be my back side of the box. Let's go ahead and drop that down here. Let's bring this back in here and let's create a toolpath for it. Now we're going to select all of our inner vectors again, like that, and we're going to do a V-carve toolpath. Again, I'm going to use a 0 flat depth, 1/8 inch. 1/8 inch is kind of my magic number. I really like the 1/8 of an inch flat depth and everything with my 60-degree V-bit. Let's reset that preview and preview that visible toolpath. Okay, so we'll have that look going on there. I could add a little bit something, maybe a little bit bigger text, a little bit fatter text or something, a little bit boldness to it so it's not so thin. I could do that text as raised as well and kind of create a boundary around it. But we have this side, and again, if we did a profile cut for it, for preview purposes only, cut that out. Okay, that would be our box here. And again, maybe something a little bit more fitting. Don't know if the stars are fitting for this, but use your thoughts and what you would want it to be and stuff. Now I want to we're going to set everything up here in a minute. We'll create all the final toolpaths in just a moment, but I do want to create at least one side here. I want to bring one side onto the board. And let's go ahead and center that onto the board. There. And on this one, I want to, I could import a model or something, and everything. I could create something, that from the clip art that that might really stand out, or give some decoration. It could be just a simple design of some sort that you trace. It could be some kind of flourish, whatever the case may be. This is going to be the side, and again, it's going to be butt jointed to the two edges. So the two edges, if we were looking at this from a side view, we would have our 3/4 inch foot here, our 3/4 inch foot here, and then of course the lid's going to be there. So we're going to have just this side that we can do something with, right? And so let's undo that. And what I would like is I'm going to create an offset inward. Now I could kind of stick to the same 3/8 of an inch that I did on the two sides to keep things consistent. But I also have to remember, that whatever I do, it's gonna reduce the kind of working area that I've got, right? So we want to kind of create that working area. And again, thanks everybody for sticking with me. Stick with me a little bit longer. We're going to wrap this up here, and I've got something that I want to talk to you about at the end, and I've got some projects and all to show you and stuff. So stay with me while we get through this, and we'll rock it out. We're almost there. On this, I do want to look in my clip art here, and I'm going to look at the different animals that I have. And now with my grandfather, this is kind of the box design for. Now he is a Florida Gators fan, college football. Well, he's 93 now, so he's kind of, he doesn't watch football as active as he used to. He likes watching his movies and stuff now and all. But man, back in his day, he was a big Gainesville, Florida Gator fan, and I could do something, with a little alligator here, or gators, or whatever the case may be. It's a gift that I'm giving away. I'm not trying to sell it or anything. When you're working with collegiate stuff, make sure you're licensed properly and stuff with that. But I could just, like I said, anything that really makes me think of him when I'm thinking of it. It could be an emblem and all. It could be a military insignia. It could be whatever it may be. Now I'm actually going to get rid of that because Grandpa, back in his day, he was a lineman, a telephone lineman, pole climber and stuff like that, back in the day and everything, and a cable splicer and stuff. I'm going to see if I can find a silhouette or something that that might be fitting for his back in his climbing days. Let's see what I've got to work with here. I need something that's rectangular in shape, that would fit, and this one's not going to have a whole lot of detail. I just want a almost kind of a silhouette, and let's turn this off. Let's import this other image in. And now the cool thing about my grandpa, 93 years old, I can't, back when he was younger, I mean, they would have races, like how fast they can scale those poles and everything with their spikes and everything. Crazy stuff. He was fast on that and all, and but I can't, as fragile as he is now, in his older age, I can't imagine him doing the things he did when he was a kid. But I'm gonna go ahead and size that up to right about there, and let's go ahead and trace that out. Let's turn off our fading, and on this I'm going to 75 is kind of my go-to, so that's where I'm gonna be at on that. Let's preview, apply, and close. Okay, and I didn't get a whole lot of detail in the shirt. I missed a little bit of that. Let me see if I can, let's undo that, Control Z. Let's bring that back down to a 50. Let's see if let's turn that fading off again. Let's see if a 50 gives me a little bit more. Right there. That's better. All right, so we'll go with that. Click apply and close. And again, let's turn off our bitmap layer, that picture and all. This is going to be kind of a raise, kind of a silhouette, if you will. So I'm going to select the inner vector and this here. And I'm going to do a V-carve toolpath. Again, 1/8 of an inch is my go-to on this, so I'm going to use my 60-degree V-bit, 1/8 of an inch end mill with an 1/8 of an inch flat depth. We're going to, let's reset that preview and preview that visible toolpath. And this, again, is just a silhouette of sorts. Kind of that pole climber and stuff. And this one I would... this one I would kind of give it some color so the detail stands out and things, so it really kind of stands out. And I really don't know what type of wood that I'm going to be using yet, but again, just something that kind of just reminds him of his good old days and all that good stuff. That would be kind of one side of that box. Okay, so I can pull this up, and again, we're going to lay everything out on we're going to get a appropriate size board here in just a moment, and we'll lay everything out. All right, now the other side here, since I've kind of got things tied up, I'm going to use the side here just to write a little message. So let's get that centered on the board here, and you know, we'll go in. We're going to go let's size that down a little bit. Let's go 3/4 of an inch tall, and I'll be generic right now. Let's go with world's. Let me learn how to spell world's greatest. And I don't know if I want to put Happy Father's Day on this particular one because it's keepsake box. No, we'll leave it out. But I can decorate this up a little bit more. It doesn't have to be so boring. Let's go ahead and break the text block into lines. So when we right click on these lines of text and we can break them up, now we can work with each line of text on its own. And what I want to do is I'm going to size these two things down just a little bit. About there. And I'm going to change up the font of Grandpa here. Let's go with some royal signage. ABCDOR right here. We'll get everything centered up in just a moment. I'd like one more time to resize this. I want this a little bit smaller. All right, let's get everything centered up. There we go. And let's go ahead, and this one's just going to be V-carved. Now I could do this again. I could do the offset and I could raise it in. And it might, yeah, let's do the offset and do the raised text as well so that everything is consistent all the way across. Right? That would probably look better. Yeah, let's do that. Offset inward 3/8 of an inch. And then that's going to dictate the size of my text. And let's create the toolpath on that. Keeping that 1/8 of an inch consistent. We'll create, let's turn off that color for a minute, and we'll create that side, right? So, so far, not a bad looking keepsake box, you know, for things that kind of fitting to him. I'm not sure about the stars. I'll have to, you know, debate on that one a little later, but not so bad on everything else. So I've got my two sides laid out. I've got my front and back laid out, and let's go ahead and get the lid laid out. And then again, let me get rid of these alignment holes. I put those in there, but I'm not ready for them yet. This is where I want to be. This is going to be the top of the box. This will be the first thing that he sees. And this would be an ideal place for something like a wavy flag or something, you know, something that really stands out and stuff. Now I don't want it to go, I may want it to go edge to edge, or I may want it to be inside of a border. I think for me, I'm going to go inside of a border. So I'm going to take my lid rectangle here, and again I'm going to offset it inward, but I'm not going to offset that much. I'm actually going to go let me look at 3/8. No, I'm going to go a little bit more than 3/8. I'm going to go a 1/2 inch offset inward. There we go. And because I want some meat on the back, depending on how deep this is going to cut, I want some meat on the back, you know, for hinges and stuff like that. I don't want my model going right to the edge because I got to think about the hinges and where they're going and stuff like that. So I want it set in a little bit. Now I am going to import a model, and it's the model that I was telling you guys about, the flag model. So we're going to import in from, excuse me, from my L drive. Nope, sorry, not L drive. From my, oh, stand by a minute. One of my drives was missing. It'll pop up here in just a second. You can do it. There you go. Okay, in my D drive, I'm going to go Documents. Let's see here. Planet CNC. I'm going to grab this wavy flag. All right, when we import a exterior model and everything, the first thing we have to do is orientate it and size it, okay? We have to orientate it and size it to fit. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure I'm orientated properly. And in this case, I am. Top orientation. Some models, when they come in, guys and girls, when you purchase them, they might come in sideways. They could come in upside down, backwards, all kinds of things. So we need to make sure that we orientate it properly. And the models you get from me, they are orientated top orientation, so they would be proper there. And I want to size this down. So I wish I would have measured how big my inner box was. Let's see here. If it was 7 inches wide and I offset in at a 1/2 inch, that's 6.5. So let's go 6.5 because I want to go kind of edge to edge, and click apply. I'm going to center the model, and then I want to slide this little slide bar all the way to the bottom. I want it sitting on top. Click OK. So slide it down, that slide bar to the bottom, and then click OK. And we'll import that model in. Now, let's close the preview so we can see the model here. So this is kind of the wavy model. Like I said, it might be too dramatic of a wave for this. I'm going to try to reduce the size a bit, but it's got a nice wave to it and everything. Let's go into the properties of this. The properties, and let's look how thick it is. Right now it's about a 1/2 inch thick. I'm working with 3/4 inch material, so you know, I'd still have enough meat now. I am going to actually bring it down just a little bit because that wave is kind of dramatic down here in the corner. I'm going to bring it down to 3/8, and I actually am going to you know, I can scale this model. I don't want to skew it too much, but I can scale this model, and let's bring it down in size here to get inside this rectangle here. Let me get it centered. Let me get all of this centered. So this centered, that centered, my model's centered. Wonderful. Okay, so on this lid, I want to be very careful about stretching or skewing too much. I don't want to skew the model too much. That doesn't look too bad. All right, I'm gonna go there, and so that means my offsets on the sides, if I hold the shift key down, I can bring them in a little bit. Okay. All right. Actually, let me go outward just a little. And yeah, that'll be good. All right, so I'm actually going to use this boundary right here as my model boundary. So I'm going to go into my material setup over here on the right top, and I want to see where my model is positioned in my material. And it's at the top, and that's what I want. I want it at the top. Now this does have some curves and contours to it, so I am going to add a little skin about 0.010 of an inch above that model that has to get milled away before the model starts getting formed. This is going to ensure that I don't get any flat spots in my model from the top of my board being flat, just in case my board is not quite, flat and square when I'm milling and I didn't surface it or anything. There's a potential that I would get a flat spot in my model by putting that 0.010 of an inch skin there. That gets milled away before that model starts getting shaped, and that gives me just kind of a little bit of a cushion, a little bit of a little fudge factor, if you will. So that 0.010 of an inch skin. And okay, they recalculate all those toolpaths. Sorry about that. We're going to go ahead and create our 3D rough cut. In the rough cut, I'm going to use the selected vector as the boundary, because it's going to create a little channel around this and everything. So kind of the flag will be standing up on its own. But I'm going to be using a 1/4 inch end mill. I'll have a 0.40 of an inch allowance. That's fine. And I want to raster along my x-axis. That's the way the grain's going to be running on my particular board. Okay, let's go ahead and reset that, and let's preview that visible toolpath. Now, of course, this could be anything. It doesn't have to be a 3D model, right? You could do, again, just like we traced that bass, we could do an image trace, and we could do that V-carve to get that raised effect. It could just be a simple plain lid with some chamfered edges. It could be a lot of things, right? This is just to give you an idea, like if you were going to make some kind of gift box or something with some cool stuff inside, some memory keepsake. And I'm going to give you the vector files, or I'm going to give you this file. It'll be available for download and stuff with the vectors and all, and you could use elements of it to create your own from there and stuff. Let's go ahead and create the 3D finish. On the 3D finish, I'm going to use a 16th inch tapered ball nose for the mere reason of it's a small design and my stars are small, and my 1/8 inch ball nose, I won't get the detail that I really want, so I'm going to use a smaller diameter tapered ball nose, so I'll use the 16th inch tapered ball nose. I do not want to do a boundary offset here. I am going to do the selected vector as the boundary again on that, which is that rectangle. Again, I'm going to raster that, and we're going to calculate that finish cut. And what should occur is we should have a nice channel all the way around this flag, and the flag kind of be alone in the center, and then our lid. If you don't like dead space at all and you want to do something, on the top over here, you can, but you don't have to fill every single space. What we're doing is just kind of creating this memory box, of just different things. For him, fishing, he used to love fishing growing up, a little too old to hold a reel and rod and reel right now. He, to be able to sit long times out on the boat like we used to. We used to, go out on the boat and stay overnight and all kinds of neat stuff, and he's just unable to do that now. So a little keepsake box to kind of remind him of those days, and climbing poles, and it could be a sad box or it could be positive. He might like it and it might bring back some good memories, or he might make him think of all the things he can't do anymore and make him sad. Who knows? We'll find out. Initials, inlay some initials on there. Doug, inlay. An inlay would be a great touch for this or something. Absolutely. all kinds of neat things. Even doing inlays on the, JC, for him, or CC, Collie Cook, could do an inlay on each end if I wanted to, or just anything, right? Just this is where you use your imagination. I'm just giving you kind of some food for thought here to think about. Now, once I have all of my, this is the last component here. Once I have all the components, then I need to start laying out the board like for how I'm actually going to carve the parts. And then I also need to, I got to get my other side and do my grooves on all the 4 pieces, for the bottom part. So let's preview this here. And it's going to take a moment to preview. I should have turned the volume or the quality down for a minute. Not the volume. Here, let's close this up for a second. I'm going to turn down the resolution, toolpaths, preview simulation quality. I'm just going to go high for the moment and preview the selected toolpath to kind of run through that a little bit faster. Because we'll get the idea, we don't have to sit here and wait and watch paint dry and everything. And so, that would be the lid. Now, once again, I could even take and I could do a little bit of small text in here and have it follow the curve. That's called projecting. I could write something in here and have it on the stripes, Happy Father's Day 2021, whatever the case may be, or write some kind of sentimental something, or just leave it as is, right? It would be fine just as is, a nice little reset lid and stuff. I may want to chamfer the top edges of the box. I could do a chamfer with a V-bit around the outer profile of it, or I could just break the edges with some sandpaper, all kinds of things. But, pretty much that for this is, I'm going to call good. Let's, I got to think about my hinges on the back. They're going to be on the underside, I think. The hinges are. Let's break the edge just a little bit. Let's break the edge a bit. I'm gonna select our vector outer perimeter here, and I'm gonna use the chamfer toolpath. Now, if you don't have the chamfer toolpath because you don't have 10 or 10.5, you can just do a profile cut with a V-bit and use a negative offset allowance to bring that V-bit in a little bit on the outside of the line so it cuts on the line to create a nice chamfer. I'm going to use the chamfer toolpath that's in 10.5 here in the Desktop Pro or Aspire, and my start depth is going to be 0. I'm going to go with a 90-degree V-bit. Let's go with a 90 on that one. And this one is going to be, I'll go with a 1/4 inch width. That'll be good, a 1/4 inch all the way around. And you see the little arrows that are pointing in? Now the arrowheads are the deepest part of the cut. They're going in the wrong direction right now, okay? This needs to be an inside cut sloping upwards, which means that from our line, the deepest part of that chamfer is going to be right at the line, sloping upward to the shallower part. So the arrowheads are pointing towards the deeper part of that cut. So that means that around the perimeter, that's going to be that the lowest part of that chamfer sloping upward to the shallowest point to the surface of our board, right? Just a 1/4 inch up. So when we calculate that, we'll get this edge here that kind of breaks that edge all the way around. Now, looking at that, Now, of course, my box doesn't go all the way the size of the board. We'll fix that in a minute with a profile cut. But looking at this on the top and bottom, that's just too much of a chamfer, right? It's just too much. So let's go back into that, and I'm going to reduce that a bit. So on the width, I'm going to go, I just want to break the edge, just a nice small chamfer to break the edge. So I'm actually going to go 1/8 of an inch on that. And let's reset that preview. And on the back edges, because this board isn't, it's sized 1/4 inch more than the rest, we'll have to do a profile cut to cut it out when it's done. But let's look at that again one last time. Let's reset that preview and preview our 3D finish and our chamfer one more time really quickly, and then we'll lay out our actual boards and we'll finalize this up. Okay. Okay, let's do a profile cut on our actual board here. Or I'm not our board, but our actual perimeter. Let's do a profile cut with a 1/4 inch end mill, cutting all the way through. So we can see the chamfer, and not too bad. I don't know if I'm a fan of that with it being so thin on the front and the back. Maybe if I reduced my little pocket that's around my flag a little bit, I could bring the pocket right up to it. I don't know. It wouldn't be bad. Just something to break the edges up. All right, here we go, guys. So we have all of our parts now. We're going to go ahead and move that over to the side. We got all of our parts. Now we're actually going to lay out the actual project that we're going to carve. Now I have a 24-inch by 40-inch cutting area on my CNCs, and I don't like going all the way to my 40 inches. So I'm just going to go 36 inches, a board about 30 to 36 inches long. Before we do that, let me answer a quick question here. Lainey, where did you get the cable and the pole? Ronnie, that was just a Google search for telephone lineman vector. Telephone lineman vector. Lineman vector. And an image from that selection of different images that was traced and stuff. Could you use the box gadget for this project? Steve, you could use the box gadget for this, but the way the joinery is happening here, this is just butt joints and all. The box gadget is more so if you're wanting to do kind of finger joints and things like that. So we'd have to account for that and stuff if we use the box gadget. This is simple butt joint. Our two sides, our two end pieces, our two side pieces, our front and back, just glue right to that edge. And then the lid hinges on. Just a very simple common box. Nothing real fancy, no special joinery or anything like that. But you could do something like this with the box gadget, but your box is going to be completely different than this style because you've got to account for the fingers that the joinery of that the box gadget creates. All right. So with this, I'm going to go back into my job setup here, and it's still going to be a two-sided job for me, but I'm actually going to go with my, I can go up to 36 inches, 36 inches, it's still going to be 7 1/4, typical 1/8, and nothing else changes. And then I can go ahead and start to lay out my parts and everything. Let's grab I'm going to be cutting the parts out with a 1/4 inch end mill, so I want to make sure I have clearance in between, and that'll be fine there. Let's grab our left side. Oh, okay. So on one board, I'll be able to get the front, back, and a side, and on another board, I'll be able to get the top and the other side, which is fine for me. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to take all of these and align them up and down center there. And let's pull this one in a little bit. And let's pull this one back a little. All right, while I have that 1/4 inch dot there, I'm going to go ahead and use that for my alignment hole. I'm going to throw one right down here. And I'll hold down the control key and drag a copy, and I'm going to throw one over here. Okay. All right, and let's go ahead and we're going to take all of this, and I'm going to copy it to or move it. Let's see here. I'm going to copy it to a new layer. This will be board 1. Okay. And then I can turn that off for a minute. I'm going to go ahead and organize my layers now. So I want to right click and move this to my front panel. Which is going to be the front panel, the name or the fish? The fish is going to be the front panel. So this will be my back panel. This one will be my front panel. Move to front panel. Doesn't matter about my sides. Move this. We'll call this one the left side. We'll move that to the right side. And we'll take this and move it to the top. So now I've got everything separated by layers. I can go ahead and turn off and I've got everything also copied on that one board, laid out just like it is here. I can go ahead and turn off my front panel. I can turn that off. My left side, I can turn that off, and my back panel, I can turn that one off. Oops, left side, turn that off. And now I can take my top here, move it into position, take this side, move it into position. I won't need a 36-inch board for this. I can cut this out of a shorter board, but for right now, we're going to leave it at 36 inches. I'll throw this here. Let's get this centered. Holding the control key down, dragging a copy of that 1/4 inch hole there. Okay. So with that, let's move this a little bit closer. Let's move all of this a little bit closer. Waste not, want not. Okay. With that, I can go ahead and select all of these and copy them. Copy to layer, and this is going to be board 2. Okay. All right, so what I've got here now is if we look at everything, board 1 has everything laid out for board 1, board 2 has everything laid out for board 2, and then separately I have my top vectors, which those 2 holes don't need to be there. Let's fix that right now. There we go. I got my top vectors and model. I've got my back panel, my front panel. I've got my right side, my left side. and everything is nice and organized in case I want to change one element or the other. But now these are the two toolpaths that I'm working with, board 1 and board 2. Okay, board 1 and board 2. So on board 1, because I got to put the groove for the bottom of this box all the way around, I need to go ahead and take my outer vector for each of these along with the two holes, and I want to copy those to the other side. Copy to other side. Okay. Turn that layer off. Turn on board 2. Take my outer perimeter here and here. Not the lid. I don't need to groove in the lid. Just this perimeter here, and copy, and along with my alignment holes, copy that to the other side. Okay. All right. And now when I flip over, I should have board 1 and board 2. Okay. Board 1 vectors and board 2. All right. On board 1, my groove, remember I said is going to be 7/32. That's the nominal measurement for the piece of birch that I'm going to use for the bottom of the box. So it's going to be 7/32 equals 0.21875 by 14, that groove. And I'm gonna give myself a little bit of an allowance here in just a moment, but I'm gonna bring that down. I want that just, I mean, like the bottom of the box is gonna be kind of right here, right above that curve and all on there. And I'm gonna go back into my size here. That 7/32 on the width, or the height in this case, the height, which is the thickness and all, I want to give myself about 10/1000 of an inch, a little bit of space so it's not just like a tight fit and all. And I may want to go 20/1000 of an inch because the plywood could vary slightly, right? You know, we want to be a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add in, because I don't mind if the bottom is floating inside there. I'll meet it in the middle, 0.015. Hit equals, and let's let's try that again.
You have Alexa Prize social bots in
Plus,
Do you want to open it?
Alexa, stop. 0.015 equals. There we go. Now, let's undo that. I need to unlink the X and Y. I forgot about that because I don't want to change the 14. That's going to be the same. But I want to add that 0.015 equals and click apply. Give me that just a little bit of room. Now that I have that, I can go ahead and hold down my control key, drag and snap a copy right there. I'll get it lined up in a minute, but get it in line, and here as well. Okay. Get that groove sized. Get this in position. I'm going to use my alignment tool. Align left and right. There we go. All right, so all of my grooves here are aligned exactly where they should be. And if my, on board 2 here, my board is in alignment, so my grooves should line up on that side as well too, on board 2. So I'm just going to take this one and copy it to board 2. So that way I can just get it aligned right there. And I'm going to hold down my shift key, select that, and align left to right just to get it centered. All right, this groove is going to be a shallow groove, maybe a 1/4 of an inch deep and everything. So let's go ahead and start tool pathing this out now. Let's start with board 1. We'll do the back while we're here. First thing is going to be my waste board alignment holes. That's going to be a drilling tool path. It's going to be a 1/4 inch deep. I'm going to drill the alignment holes in my waste board. A 1/4 of an inch deep. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. And I'm going to actually name this waste board alignment holes. Hang tight with me, guys. We're wrapping up right now as we create the tool paths. All right, that's going to be my alignment holes for the waste board. Now my groove. That's going to be a pocket cut. It's going to cut a 1/4 of an inch deep. Yeah, that'll be good. I'm actually going to use the 1/8 inch end mill for that. And this will be my board 1 side 2 grooves. Calculate that. And then my profile cuts. Going to be cutting 3/8 of an inch deep, halfway through on side 1, halfway through on side 2. 3/8 of an inch deep, 1/4 inch end mill on the outside of the cut. I am going to add tabs here. I'm going to do a 1/16 of an inch tabs from each side. That'll be a total of an 1/8 inch thick tab. And we're going to go, let's go with a tab here, here, and here. I can sand that tab flush. That'll be good. Okay, so that'll be the tabs for that. And what I want to do with this is important, is once I calculate this tool path and all, I'm actually going to, since I've got the tabs right where I want them on this side already, I'm going to go ahead and go back to side 1 real quick, and I'm going to actually delete these outer vectors here on board 1, because on side 2 I'm going to take these outer vectors and copy them back over to that other side. And what I just did is, when I copied them back over, it copied the tabs with them. It copied the tabs with them. So when I do that profile cut on here and everything, when I add the tabs, they're already there. Right, so I can just calculate this. This is going to be board 1 side, oops, board 1 side 1 profile cutout. And it's going to be a 1/4 inch end mill. So we can calculate that. Awesome. Okay. So on side 2 for board 1, I've got my waste board alignment holes, my grooves, and my profile cut. That's all that's needed there. So flipping over to the other side now, I need to reassociate my tool paths with this, and I'm going to name them and organize them. So the first thing I'm going to do is come back here and on the top V carves here, I'm just going to reassociate them with everything. That's the one. This one here and this one here. All the V carves are the same. 0 start depth, 1/8 inch flat depth, 60-degree V-bit 1/8 inch end mill. This is going to be board 1, side 1 V carve, 60 DEG V-bit. Calculate that. The vectors that are being ignored and all, that's my duplicates. We'll get rid of those in just a moment. And so now I can go in and excuse me. Delete all of these other samples here. Okay. So board 1, side 1, 60-degree V-bit, and then board 1 profile cutout, side 1 profile cutout. Let's move that up in the list. So that'll be the top 3. My alignment holes are very important. Let's get those in there. Drilling operation. This is going to actually cut 3/8 of an inch deep in my board with my 1/4 inch end mill. I'm going to use pecking on it. And this is going to be board 1, side 1, alignment holes. 0.25 end mill. Whoops. Okay. That'll be the alignment holes. Let's move that up. That'll be the first thing that happens on board 1. I always do the alignment holes first. Okay, so if we were to look at our board 1 here, board 1, we have our alignment holes, our V-carve, and then our profile cutout. So let's preview. Oops. Let's preview that visible toolpath. Okay, so there's that side done. The board would then get flipped over. When it gets flipped over, it'll be moved out of the way while I carve the wasteboard alignment holes in the wasteboard. Put my 1/4 inch dowel pins in and then drop this board into place. And then this will get its final cut of the grooves and the final profile cutout. And let's preview that. And one more time, let me do this one again because I cleared the preview. Preview the visible toolpath. Okay. Side 1. Let me see here. There we go. So we got our back side. Oops, let's flip over here. We got our back side panels in grooves and everything. Now, the one mistake that I just made, or that I made here, is on my groove, on the 2 end grooves, they don't need to be that long. Okay? They don't need to be that long because I don't want them to show on the side of my board. Because remember, this is going to be, we're going to have the sides are going to be just glued right here and everything. And I don't want I don't want them to show, so I need to fix that vector really quickly. Let's flip back over to side 2, and basically, if I were to imagine if you will, my 3/4 inch board. Right here. and my groove on the 3/4 inch board is getting cut in, again, 1/4 of an inch deep, then I can use my guideline. Let's take a guideline here. Make a relative guide 1/4 inch away. And if I hold my shift key down, when I size this down to that guideline, it'll size both sides at the same time. Okay? This goes all the way through, so I need this to be extended past the board a little bit. There we go. That way I get a nice clean edge. Take on this guideline here. I'm going to steal this rectangle for a minute. Get this rectangle snapped to there. Make a relative guide 1/4 inch away. And then once again, if I hold that shift key, then I can pull that to that guideline. I can snap to that guideline. And if I hold the shift key, it'll do both sides at the same time. All right, let's turn off those guides now. And let's recalculate that toolpath. Okay. All right. So once again, reset our preview. Preview 1, 2, 3, 4. That visible toolpath. Preview this visible toolpath. And we have our two sides in our groove. Okay, our two sides in our groove. Now I have my board over here right up to the edge, you know, and all, trying to minimize, you know, material and stuff. But if I wanted to, I could have centered that and everything, but that's good there. So now, last one, let's turn that off. Turn on board number 2. And for board number 2, we have a 3D rough cut. So let's open that back up and change this to board 2, side 1, rough. 0.25 end mill and recalculate that. Nothing changes with the parameters of that, and I don't have to select the model. It knows where that model is, but I did need to select the vector. Select the vector. Let's do that again. There we go. Okay, so that's going to be my model cut. Here, let's select this. This will be a V-carve toolpath. Nothing changes with my parameters here, but this is going to be board 2, side 1, V-carve, 60 DEG V-bit. Calculate that. We'll clean up the name here in just a minute. All right, with that done, my alignment holes for board 2. Let's do that and put that. We'll organize them and we'll put them in the proper order in just a second. This is going to be board 2, side 1, alignment holes, 0.25 end mill. Okay, the only thing I need to do is my profile cuts now. So this and this. Profile toolpath, cutting 3/8 of an inch deep. We'll add some tabs here. We'll We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll just do this. 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. All right, calculate that. Board 2, side 1, profile cut out. Holy cow. Almost there, guys. Bear with me, hanging a little bit longer. 0.25 in mill. Calculate. All right, so that takes care of side 1. Let's flip over to side 2. Side 2, we'll start off with our wasteboard alignment holes. Board 2, waste board alignment holes, 0.25 in mill. This is going to cut in the wasteboard 1/4 of an inch deep. The groove, let's make that groove a little bit longer so it goes through both edges there and gives me a nice clean cut. That's going to be a pocket cut, 1/4 inch deep with an 1/8 inch end mill. This is board 2, side 2 groove. Calculate that. And then the profile cuts. I'm going to delete this profile right here. I'm going to go back to side 1 and I'm going to take this profile and this profile and copy it back over to side 2, the other side. Because what that does is it copies the tabs with it. So when I do that profile cut and I add those tabs, they're there, right? So this is board 2, side 2, profile. Cut out. 0.25 in mill. All right, so if we preview side 2, we've got our wasteboard alignment holes. We don't need to preview that. We've got our side 2 groove and a profile cutout. Let's preview that visible toolpath there. Okay, let's flip it over to the other side and board 2 V-carve. Our model cut 3D rough. Where's my rough? Right there. I didn't calculate the finish. I got to calculate the finish. So let's do that really quickly. Finish cut. Selected vector is the boundary. Raster cut with the grain. This is my board 2 3D finish. 0.0625 tapered ball nose, TBN. Calculate. Let that calculate, and then we'll look at it, and that'll be it. And then we're gonna wrap up. The last 15 minutes is me showing you some things and making. You know, I got an offer for you guys or something that you might be interested in. Almost there. On side 1, there's one more toolpath. I am going to go ahead and I'll do that chamfer that breaks the edges. So we'll get that chamfer cut too. Let this finish calculating. There we go. And let's take really quickly and grab this. Go into our chamfer. Select our vectors there. Nothing's changed with that. Still going of just 1/8 of an inch to break the edges. It's still an inside upward slope. And this is going to be board 2. side 1 chamfer, top chamfer. And that's a 90 DEG V-bit. All right, calculate that. Okay, let's organize these things. So board 1 alignment holes and board 1, this can go away, delete that. So board 1 alignment holes, 1/4 inch end mill, then I got a 60-degree V-bit, and then the profile cutout. I'm actually going to, on this, so I can only need to change bits twice, I'm going to actually move this down. I'll do the 1/8 inch clearing cut first. I will do the 60-degree V-bit next, and then my 1/4 inch end mill will do the alignment holes for that board and the profile cutout. That will take care of board 1, side 1. That board will then get flipped over, and we'll do the wasteboard alignment holes. Let me rename this. Rename BRD board 1 wasteboard alignment holes. We'll do that first. Then our groove and our profile cut. Let me rename that. Board 1, side 2, profile cut out. Okay, so let's take that, and that. Let's preview those visible toolpaths. Okay, flip it over, and board 1, our 1/8 inch end mill is going to be first, followed by the 60-degree V-bit, followed by our 1/4 inch end mill. Preview those. Okay, and so that will take care of board 1, both sides. Done. All right, reset that. Board 2, we're going to have on the front side of board 2, we're going to have a 3D rough cut, which is going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. Let's see if I got a 1/4 inch end mill anywhere else besides the alignment holes. So yep, we'll move that up. So I'll do the board 2 alignment holes and the 3D rough cut together because they use a 1/4 inch end mill. We'll have followed by our 1/16 inch tapered ball nose bit for the 3D finish. We'll follow that up with the chamfer cut with our 90-degree V-bit. And then we will, let's delete this. We will do our V-carve with our 60-degree V-bit and then the profile cutout. So let's preview those. So let's turn this off and this off. Rough finish that. All right, preview the visible toolpaths on that. So board 2, and board 2 could be shorter. It doesn't need to be 36 inches. I just need to make sure that it's, you know, my alignment hole falls in that. So we've got side 1 here. We would flip that over. And then we have our wasteboard alignment holes. Those will get run first. Then our 1/8 inch end mill. I'll have the 1/4 inch end mill still in the bit, so we'll do the yeah, we'll do, no, we got to change it. 1/8 inch end mill first. I don't know what I was about to think there. And then our profile cutout. So we'll preview that visible toolpath. And so we'll have side 1 and side 2. And that's it. That takes care of our lid and everything for our little keepsake box. So this box has an American flag on the top and the bottom. I need to find out what's going on right there in my 3D model. I don't know what that is in my 3D model. A little anomaly in Vectric. But anyway, we have our 3D flag is going to be the lid. World's Greatest Grandpa is on one side, and that's going to be board 2. And then for board 1, we'll have his name We've got the fish on the two sides, and then the climber will be on the other side. So a nice little keepsake box with all kinds of little things going all the way around it. And that is that. Guys, I will organize these toolpaths and this profile. I'll make this file, this Vectric file, available to you, and everything. I'm going to transfer it over to VCarve Pro. That way anybody with VCarve Pro 10.5 can just open up the design and make alterations to it. For those of you that don't have VCarve Pro or desktop, Pro or desktop or Aspire 10.5, if you're in an earlier version, I will provide the vectors, all the vectors for this and everything to you, and you can just recreate the toolpath. It's literally just a V-carve toolpath with an 1/8 inch flat depth and a profile cut and a drilling operation. 3 toolpaths. It looks complicated, like there's a whole bunch on the list over here, but it's not bad. You can use this video to refer back to it and all. Now, I do want to talk to you guys. You know that this is my announcement, and this is how we're going to wrap up the day. We are going to be, for those of you that might not have been joining me over the last couple weeks, we're revamping Spindle TV. I have another YouTube channel where it's my main woodworking channel besides Spindle TV, where I do full project builds and everything. And I haven't done any builds on that channel in a long while, but I'm going back. But our project builds are going to incorporate CNC in some fashion or another. And so that channel is going to be full length, start to finish on a project, literally milling the wood, start to finish. All the way to finish. And then excerpts of the design part of that are going to be brought over to Spindle TV, and you're going to get the full design of the whatever it was in Spindle TV, like we just did now, and things. So people that want to watch the full build will be able to see that full build video. People that just want to watch the design part of it and they want to get a little bit more on the design, they can come over to Spindle TV and watch. So they can. There's going to be 2 channels that are cross-promoting each other, my 2 channels that are cross-promoting each other. In order to get ready to start filming and stuff, we're working on new branding and everything. Spindle TV branding is not changing or anything, but my other channel's branding is changing and stuff. With that, I'm also working on a new building. Now, on my building that I'm going to be putting up, I ended up settling on just a metal building. 30 by 32 building that's going to have room for all my saws and panel saws and drum sanders and all that stuff, my CNC, but also my video cameras and stuff like that. The first estimate I got was way out of the park. The guys and girls were crazy. It was $86,000 for the building. The second, so then that's when I transitioned from, instead of having one built, I'm just going to put a metal building on the property and use that. I've got an estimate for the building in concrete, about $25,000, and so I'm working on that right now, and I've got a pretty good portion of the financing done. I'm just trying to do a little bit more. Now, I have an offer for you guys. I've got a couple of models here that for Father's Day that I'm going to be putting up for sale. It's going to be $15 for the download. The first one is this one here, this project here. Dad, I know it's not easy for a man to raise a man. You gave me the greatest gift anyone could give. You believed in me. You are appreciated, and no matter where life takes me, I will always be your little boy, and you'll always be my dad, my hero. Love, your son. This looks like this when it's carved, and it's a V-carve toolpath with a 3D model and everything. So there's that. Okay. We also we have if I reset that preview and let's go back to this one 3D finish. I know I'm missing a toolpath. That one 3D finish, and that's it. Preview that visible toolpath. This one is for the girls. This one, this sign here says, as soon as it's finished, give it a second. It's a simple 60-degree V-bit, 1/8 inch or 16th inch tapered ball nose bit, and a 1/8 inch end mill. Oops, it would have helped if I would have reset the preview before I carved that. Let's try that one more time. Oh, come on, Laney. Preview the visible toolpath. I'm missing a pocket cut somewhere. Right there. That. The pocket cut is right. Did I screw up my own thing? Hold on a second, guys. 3D finish. What's that V-carve? That's the boy. That's the man. Oh, there's the pocket cut. It would help if I did all the toolpaths, guys. Here we go. This one is the female for the girls. So it says, Dad. What does it say? Pretty much almost the same thing. A couple of word changes. Come on, come on. You can do it, you can do it, you can do it. You can do it. Dad, I know it's not easy for a man to raise a woman. You gave me the greatest gift anyone could. You believed in me. You are appreciated no matter where life takes me. I'll always be your baby girl. And you will always be my dad, my hero. Love, your daughter, right? So we have one for the son, one for the daughter. Both of these are available together as a pack for a $15 download. And if you download that, I'm also going to throw in this one here. World's Greatest Papa Bear 3D model, and all for a $15 download. What this download is, it's rather than a kind of a donation, you're actually getting something for it. I don't like asking, you know, for help and not giving something in return. So if you decide that you would like to purchase these 3 models for $15, that's going to help towards the offset towards the purchase of the building and all, so I can take this channel to new levels and everything. So we got 3 pretty cool projects for Father's Day. The World's Greatest Papa Bear, as well as the 2 dad signs and everything. And let's zoom in so we can appreciate the quality of the buck and his little fawn, whether it be a little boy or girl, whatever the case may be. But you know, 2 dad signs. These can be they're V-carves. You're going to get the vectors and the models with them, along with detailed instructions on exactly how to set up the toolpaths and everything. So if you are up for it, if you're willing and everything, I'm going to put down I'm going to put in an email address where you can email me. I will send the $15 invoice over to you that you can pay with a debit card, credit card, or PayPal account. Once you do that, the download will be automatically there for you to download, that you'll be able to download in your receipt and stuff. Think about it and all that stuff. But if you will, again, in the chat area, the email address is laney.shaughnessy@spindletv.com. laney.shaughnessy@spindletv.com. Your proceeds, all proceeds from these purchases, will go towards helping me with getting this channel ready to go to the next level with the building and everything like that. I'm at my goal. What my goal is to try to get as many downloads as possible before June 20th, before these models are no good. You know, Father's Day only comes once a year. But if I can, you know, if I can get any sort of download for anyone that's watching, not just you that are live with me now, but anybody that watches this video. If you're watching this video before Father's Day, you can email laney.shaughnessy at and you can look over in the chat area in the video. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see that email, laney.shaughnessy at spindletv.com. Email me and I will send you a $15 invoice. Once that invoice is paid, you will receive all 3 models, the 2 dad signs, one for the son, one for the daughter, and World's Greatest Papa Bear as well, that 3D model. Now this one is a 3D model. It will be carved as a 3D model, but the other 2 mom and dad signs, there is a 3D model element to it, but it will use actually a V-bit, a ball nose bit, a end mill for a pocket cut, and you know, it should be very straightforward to cut out. The sizes, just so you know what the sizes are, this one is kind of scalable, but right out of the gate, the sizes of this, the World's Greatest Papa Bear is 15 by 11 1/4. So a typical 1 by 12, 15 by 11 1/4 by 3/4 inch thick material. It's got this cool bear head here with World's Greatest Papa Bear. And the father signs, they are 15 inches wide by 22 inches tall. Wall signs or whatever you want to do with them, type of things. But you will receive the vectors and everything. And for those of you, you may need to rotate the entire project 90 degrees to carve on your CNC, and you'll have all the vectors with detailed instructions on you'll have detailed instructions and everything on how to set up with pictures and stuff. I'll do little screenshots and stuff on how to set up the project. So think about that. Your support would be greatly appreciated in that matter. It's going to help me greatly get things progressing forward and all, and I look forward to it. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me tonight, and make sure you make note of that email address, and we'll go from there. Okay. All right. Let's answer a couple of questions before we leave. I need to renew my annual subscription. Do you mind refreshing my memory of possible showing those who don't know how to subscribe to the special Spindle TV? Yeah, Camaro, as far as for those of you that want to subscribe to training and things, that is on the Digital Woodcarver website. And so at digitalwoodcarver.com, you would go to the Explore menu. You would go down to CNC Training. And on the training page, you'll see at the very bottom, you will see the Spindle TV logos with the 2 subscription options. We have a monthly or an annual subscription option with that and everything for if you want to subscribe to training. That's how you would subscribe, Camaro and all. Let's see here. I have Aspire, but for those who don't, can you still cut them out in VCarve Pro or Desktop? Yes, these model files that I'm offering up for $15 download, they can be carved in VCarve Desktop, VCarve Pro, or Aspire. Aspire is not required for them. You're going to get all the files you need that you can import right into VCarve Pro, VCarve Desktop, or Aspire. For those 3 model files, the Papa Bear and the dad from the son, and the dad sign from the daughter. Those can be carved in any of the 3 softwares. They do not require Aspire. None of them do. Okay. The project file that I'm making free tonight, that's going to be in the description of this video, is the box vectors and everything when I clean them up. Those you can do. There's no model elements at all to them except for the flag. You'll get the flag model in the files. So you just download the files, you get the flag there. You don't have to even email me for that. That box file and all, that's free. That's going to be in the description of the video here shortly, and you'll have that download. So think about the $15 download for the 3 model pack, and it's a good deal. It's a great deal, and it helps me out tremendously. You all help me out by watching me every week. Thank you, everybody. Until next time, I'll see you soon. Looking forward to those emails rolling in. See you guys.